So it's bam, 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 bam. So now I'm living in a spare bedroom at my mom's house, where my mom is grieving the loss of her husband. I'm grieving the loss of that with many other losses. And I self-destructed. I mean, I was doing everything that I knew I shouldn't be doing, boozing it up, acting like an idiot, just self-destructive in nature. And then something miraculous happened in August of 2019. I'm brushing my teeth at my mommy's house. My house is being renovated at the time, so I got another couple months at my mommy's house, and I'm brushing my teeth. And I remember looking in the mirror saying, I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was sick and tired. I told myself, I go, Adam,
we're your co-hosts, Vicki and Laura, and this is the Resilient Entrepreneurs Podcast, the ultimate guide for ambitious business founders and startups. Hear from business heroes who've faced unexpected challenges as we unpack how they slayed their dragon and reignite your instinct to conquer your dragon.
Entrepreneurship is my favorite hobby, and it all started when I was 13. I didn't know then that I was going to shape into being an entrepreneur, but I do know exactly what I was feeling in that moment at 13 years old. So I would get up every single morning and I would roll papers with rubber bands, put them in plastic sleeves, and I would deliver these papers. I started off with one route. I had 40 different houses I delivered to. And what we would do back then is we would deliver the paper in the morning, but then once a month, we would have to knock everybody's door and collect the money, the subscription. Now, I got paid like $1 a house, like almost no money. So we were paid on tips. And I remember this is where salesmanship came into my life. I would ask my clients a few questions. I'd say, hey, let me ask you, was your paper on time every day this month? Was it there on time? Customer would go, yeah, it was on time. Great. Let me ask you another question. Was it rolled with a rubber band in a plastic sleeve even when it wasn't raining? And they would go, yeah, actually, it was. Great. So here's the deal. I'm doing this to buy my first car. Like, I'm not doing this I love getting up at 5 a.m. Don't get me wrong, but I'm doing this to pay for my first car. So just give with your heart, give what you can. If I brought value and service to you, just give what you can. I made so much money in tips. It was insane that I was able to get 2 more paper routes. There were 2 other paper routes that opened up and I was very quick. So I had 3 paper routes at 13 making crazy money. So that's where it started for me. I was a young 13-year-old boy and I was a paper boy.
Yeah. So tell us, what was the next business you built? Because I feel like, first I think we need to go back a couple of steps and explain to people how much of a serial entrepreneur you are. Because I'll say I've never seen a LinkedIn like yours. Like, you have so many interesting businesses and things that you're involved in. And like you said, entrepreneurship is a hobby. So give us a little bit of that flavor, because I think people should understand the scope of the different businesses you run, because it's kind of unusual.
Yeah. I'll start by saying that I couldn't do what I do without amazing teams. Like, a person can go so far, but a team can get you there. Right. So like, it's my teams allow me to do what I do. If it wasn't for the people that I work with, that I serve, hence nobody works for me. Nobody. So I work for my entities and we serve one another. If it wasn't for them, I couldn't go out and expand and do other things. So I want to make that bold statement because it's important for entrepreneurs to really give the credit where the credit's due. It's within the teams that we build, period. So I have a very large insurance agency, Ascent Dealer Services, that serves the automotive space predominantly. We work with RV dealers, motorcycle dealers, and boat dealers as well. But we're one of the largest and most respected in the United States, I would say almost in the world. I mean, we're pretty well known. We have a team that just continues to go out doing the right things, acquiring new clients, taking care of those clients, and we just continue to grow. I own a company with another partner. I co-founded a company called the Dental Protection Group. We brought the 831B micro captive insurance model into the industry. So what we did is we created insurance products where the dental practices get to participate in the underwriting profits. So we've got that business. I've got 2 real estate companies, Marburger Investment Group and then A2 Investment Group. My baby is Alt Family Martial Arts. I own a jiu-jitsu academy. It produces the least amount of income with the most amount of joy. And then I own Marburger Coaching and Development, which there's a DBA, the Growth Zone. I have a personal development company where I coach companies, I coach individuals, and I coach groups. And then all my speaking proceeds and my book writing proceeds come out of that entity right there. So that was a mouthful, but that's in a nutshell. Those are my main core companies. And then I have a nonprofit. By the way, my number one entity is Riverbend Rescue. It's our nonprofit, which we're really committed to serving our local communities, making sure people are fed, making sure needs are met. So that's my newest and my I would say most of our energy is being put in that entity right now.
Goodness me. How do you follow that? So there's so many questions though, Adam. My first one is, how on earth are you not burning out?
That's a good question.
Good question. Let me give you an example. First and foremost, I have a ridiculous amount of structure in my life. So every single day I wake up, I don't hit the snooze button. Okay. I'm not using my phone for the first hour of the day. I'm not checking anybody's text or phone calls or Instagrams or none of that. I don't do that. I write out gratitude and goals first thing, and then I write out my list of responsibilities for the day. So I am extremely structured. I know how to delegate and I know how to batch work. So in my calendar, I have X amount of time for X amount of projects, and I don't deviate from it. And I'll be straight, it's my assistant, Laura. Without Laura, she's the reason. I mean, so to answer your question, Vicki, how? Well, because of Laura. That's how. You know, I am by nature very organized, very, very punctual, very structured. But Laura keeps me from going cray-cray. Laura keeps me from drinking red wine at 4:00. so yeah.
Oh, thank goodness for Laura. She's a good name. She's a good girl. Yeah. Shout out to her for sure. Appreciate it.
Laura George is the bomb, is what she is.
It's so great. It's so great that you give her such acknowledgement too, because I do think it's the team, like you said, that are so, so important. But I'd also say you must be a very disciplined person. I mean, that's immediately what I'm getting. And does that stem from a martial arts background?
A lot.
Do you think there's a relationship there?
Yeah, I would say 100%. Yeah, there's no question. I mean, because martial arts puts that structure and that discipline. It's very difficult. The mats don't lie. It puts a sense of humility in you. So 100%. Yeah, my martial arts background. I mean, I've been involved in martial arts since I was a 17-year-old kid, punk kid at that time. But started with kickboxing, went into boxing. I fought MMA. And then I got into sport jiu-jitsu, competed for a very long time. And now I'm more of a hobbyist. You know, at age 44, like my ego's gone. Like I get older and these 20-year-olds get stronger. I mean, it's about them and not so much about me, but I am selfish in the sense that I like to be on the mats training. It's my sanctuary is what it is.
Yeah. And it's a stress relief too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
So, Adam, the name of your book is quite provocative. I personally love it. I'm certain there are others who won't pick it up. However, it's a universal truth. Get out of your own effing way. Tell me what that means.
Okay. Can I tell you the story first on why I titled it and how I got to there? Because that's really important. So please. I don't want to get ultra religious, but like I'm not afraid to claim my faith. I follow Christ. I'm a Christian. I'm not afraid to claim it. I boldly proclaim that. So, and I will forever. So with that being said, I've got people in, the church and other fellow Christians are like, how dare you use that F word? You're not a real Christian. Okay. Who's the judge, right? The reason I use that title was because of the conversation that I had with myself. See, in February of 2019, my stepdad, who's dang near like a dad, he passed away. He had a stroke on Friday, died on Sunday. That was February. Mm-hmm. April 1st, my business partner and best friend that founded Ascent Dealer Services, he took his own life on April Fool's Day. And then the next month, my grandfather passed away, who was the patriarch of the family. And then the next month, we're into June. been a great year so far, right? We're into June, file for divorce. I was married for 13 years. So it's bam, 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 bam. So now I'm living in a spare bedroom at my mom's house, where my mom is grieving the loss of her husband. I'm grieving the loss of that with many other losses. And I self-destructed. I mean, I was doing everything that I knew I shouldn't be doing, boozing it up, acting like an idiot, just self-destructive in nature. And then something miraculous happened in August of 2019. I'm brushing my teeth at my mommy's house. My house is being renovated at the time, so I got another couple months at my mommy's house, and I'm brushing my teeth. And I remember looking in the mirror saying, I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was sick and tired. I told myself, I go, Adam, you're the effing problem. It was my book title is verbatim what the conversation I had with myself. It was, Adam, you're the effing problem. It's time to get out of your own way. So my subtitle is a guide to getting out of your own way. I made decisions in that moment right then and there that I never turned from and never deviated from, and built big companies in my life. I'm here. I could lose it all tomorrow. Okay. I could lose it all tomorrow. I'm humble enough to know that I'm not taking this stuff with me. First of all. Second of all, I know what it's like to lose it all, and it could happen overnight. So I'm very humble in what I have today, but I know what it's like to have nothing. And I know what it's like to get back out of the darkness. So I wrote this book to share my story with other people that were doing what I was doing, that have been where I've been. That book was truly there to help people. That's all it was about. So that's why I wrote the book. I felt that I needed to, is a calling of mine to write it. So that was my long-winded answer of, yeah. So there's some people that are going to pick up the book. Oh my gosh. The people that are afraid to pick up the book are the ones that need to pick it up the most. Because let's make no mistake, the three of us on this call, we're flawed. We got issues. We got things we're not great at. We got things that we struggle with, right? There's a lot behind these eyeballs that the world doesn't know exist, but we do. And our closest people in our life might know, but the majority doesn't. So humility is important to understand we're no better than anyone else, right? And to understand that we all can become better versions of ourselves, and our past has no correlation on where we can go if we make better decisions.
Hang on, hold that thought. I apologize for the interruption. I just wanted to take 15 seconds of your time to thank you for being a part of this growing community of resilient entrepreneurs. If you could do us just one massive favor and subscribe, you'll be notified of the next great episode of this podcast. And speaking of great episodes, let's get right back to it.
Yeah, that's a really great line. I think that's something that we can think more on, is say that again, about your past and your future decisions.
Your past may have gotten you to where you are now. I'll say this more, I'll articulate my words a little bit better here. Your past may have gotten you to where you are right this second, but it doesn't have bearing on where you can go in the future. If you believe in yourself, you make the right decisions, the good stuff's there. So your past is your past. We got to leave it there. And that's what I struggled with for a long time. So being able to vocalize and verbalize this with passion, it's because I know what it's like to not I know what it's like to hold on to all the resentment, not just with people that wronged me, with myself. When I was able to let go of that, I could heal and I could feel again. And I could be motivated again. And I could look in the future differently,
Yeah, such a good point. And I'm sure some listeners today are probably in a dark place. Right now we know the economy's tough. We know that being in business is tough. We know how hard entrepreneurship is. We know people lose money, people, steal money. You have these experiences. So if there is someone listening right now that's in that dark space, do you have a piece of advice, like a step one, to help them?
So step one in a dark place. No, number one, you're loved. You're loved. Somebody loves you. You may not realize it. Number one, God loves you, period. That's irrefutable. But number two, believe it or not, there's people that love you. Sometimes we forget, we feel like we're alone. No, there's people that truly love you. Never forget that. And number two, every one of us, when we were born, we were given a set of talents and gifts that were specific to us. I challenge those that are in dark places to it's okay to sit back and reflect, but try to identify what it is you like to do and what it is you're good at. Okay. Those things right there, doing the things that you're good at and doing the things that you like, bring joy. And that's a successful life, in my opinion. What I would really say to somebody that's in a dark place right now, and this might sound hurt. I don't know. I don't want to use the word hurtful, maybe a little bold. Celebrate it, because I tell people to celebrate a plateau and celebrate your setback, because it's, first of all, it's not likely you're ever going to be on top all the time. You're not going to be on top all the time. Okay. When we hit our setback or when we're in our darkest hour, that's where the good stuff comes. That's when we find out who we are, who we don't want to be. We get to find out who's reciprocating in our lives, what friends are bringing value, what relationships are truly toxic that may need to be cut. So rock bottom is a place we don't want to stay for very long, but we do need to analyze it. We need to respect it, and we need to celebrate it short term, because that's where we find ourselves. That's where we work. We build a foundation there. And then history does repeat itself. So then we fast forward into life. We get out of rock bottom. We're running with a better circle of influence. We're making more money. We're healthier physically, mentally, spiritually. And then a catastrophic event, you lose a loved one in your family, or you get a bad health report, or you lose money. You can deal with things with better acumen once you've gone through the darkness the first time. It gets easier. So this is temporary. It's not forever. That's what I would tell somebody. This is a temporary place you're in. You'll see it again at some point, maybe not here, but understand setbacks are a thing to analyze and not to beat yourself up over it. Never, ever, ever, ever carry the victim mentality of woe is me. Woe is me. This world's not fair. There are babies that live to be 5 days old. Okay. There's children that die of cancer at 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. There's a 12-year-old that gets hit by a car. There's the 22-year-old that gets leukemia. This world does not discriminate. It's not fair. So we have to understand that it's not fair. Okay. Knowing that, it sucks. It's kind of harsh to know that, but to know that is like to find the beauty in life, the essence of why you were put here, and to find your purpose and to work on yourself. That's the good stuff right there. I mean, that's the good stuff. And it's a never ending journey. You're never going to arrive at your destination. I'll say that. It's a never ending journey. You're never going to arrive. There's no final destination in personal development.
Oh, that's such a great point to punctuate that whole conversation about how you position yourself in the world. And I think a lot of it is comparison is the thief of joy. We think we haven't arrived because we haven't got to that place we set ourselves for because somebody else was there. And when we can set our own benchmarks and know that every day can be a success, that's when true joy and true success is felt, in my view.
Amen. I agree 100%.
Mm-hmm.
How do you define success, Adam?
Great question. This is an easy one for me to answer. Very easy. Success is very easy to define, and I think everybody can. I would have your listeners write this down. Here's what success is: doing what you want to do, when you want to do it, with who you want to do it with. That's success. It's not the Ferrari. It's not the big house. It's not having 12 million or 20 million or 50 million. None of that's real. It's just it's going to evaporate. So success is doing what you want to do, whenever you want to do it, with who you want to do that with. That's success. It's real easy for me to explain.
I love that. I love that so much, because that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And then you can define from there what you need to measure that success, I suppose. So it's such a personal question, because everyone we've ever asked that question to has answered it very differently.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing, because it is. And I think we just need to decide for ourselves what what it is and not what the world says it is or isn't.
Now, can I add something to that? So I'm going to add a little
Yeah,
more. Yeah. I mean, Key West, Florida is pretty cool. So like, could I see myself in my mid 60s riding a bicycle to the local pub, having happy hour with all the tourists that get off of the cruise ships? That would be success to me. Hanging out in Key West, maybe letting my hair grow a little bit, never wearing socks again. I'll add that to that as well. I think that was what success would look like for me. So
that sounds like a goal. That's a life goal, a retirement goal. I love that. And still doing jujitsu somewhere in there, I'm sure. Yeah. And then, all right, on the flip side, how do you define failure? Or what does failure mean to you?
I think that's another easy question to answer for me. I think failure is laying on your deathbed with regret and looking back and having regret and remorse, the coulda, shoulda, woulda. I think that's our ultimate failure, is not maximizing our God-given ability. I think that we were given these just amazing gifts, and I just hate to see people just utterly waste them with lack of ambition and motivation. So that is failure to me, is not maximizing our God-given ability. That's what that is.
I think that's Vicki's biggest, thing too, is the not reaching your potential. Vicki talks about that a lot.
Yes. And what about resilience? Since we're in the business of defining big words, what does it take to be resilient? Adam, in your view?
I think it all starts with really a mindset. I think it's all a mindset. The world's not, like I said a minute ago, it's not fair. It doesn't discriminate. It's having that freaking conviction and believing in self, believing in the product and service and the value that you provide the marketplace in your vocation, believing in the parenting skills that you bring to your children, bringing in the relational skills and the servant leadership that comes with your social circles. I think that it's all in here. So resilience comes with this. It's believing in self and having that I'm going to do whatever it takes mindset. Because whatever comes your way, if you can fixate your mind that way, it's practice. You can start today, but habits take 60 to 70 days to form. So start today with positive self-affirmations. I am worthy. I can defeat this. If something comes my way, I'm going to bounce back. If I get knocked on my ass, I'm going to get right back up. Nobody's going to shake me today. The only thing I have in this world to fear is the Lord, my spouse, my firstborn, I'm kind of afraid of. But outside of that, it's all mindset. So the resilience comes from this crazy belief in self, products, services, and the value that you bring to the market and the value that you bring to the universe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. It's all a mindset. You're absolutely right. I mean, and that's what we need to think about the most is, is our mindset right? And that's what we're working on. And that's the development journey of entrepreneurship, is figuring out so many things, but figuring out yourself first and foremost. And I'm really curious about, this serial entrepreneurship life where you're running many very different businesses with obviously very different teams. And I think there are people who would say that's a really bad idea. You should, focus on one, because how could you divide your time and attention between all these and do any of them well, because you're spread so thin. How do you counter that argument?
There's some truth to that. I think if you start a company and you're in beginning startup phase and you're running to start another company and running to start another company, you could be a jack of all trades and a master of none, right? I think that there's some validity to that statement. But some people are hardwired a little bit differently, and I'm one of those some people. And I understand the value in people and process, structure, accountability. I have staff meetings for all my companies. I have people in charge in all of my companies that there's communication that's through the roof. I mean, I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not easy, but it's really not that hard either. I mean, I get plenty of time. I'm not afraid of vacation. I take plenty of trips. I shut it down on the weekends. I may not take your call on the weekend. I mean, it is what it is. I just may not. So, I mean, I've got non-negotiables and I have boundaries that are in place, but the key and the real answer is delegation, and I hire people better than I am. If I can continue to hire, so let's break down what is an effective CEO. Okay. So like business owners, like I've got, here's my sales force. So I don't have a massive team, but I got 15 people out in the field right now trying to sell products and services. Well, I've got all 15 of these people structured and dialed in. We have accountability measures. We set goals. We're just dialed in, and those people are better than me. So if I can hire people better than me, a real measure of a CEO, I should be able to leave my company. Like I should, by theory, be able to leave Ascent Dealer Services right now for 6 months and come back and it still be operating just fine. Should operate better without me. So to answer that question, I think it's, you got to believe in yourself, build a great product. The foundation's got to be really, really strong. You got to put the time in up front. You can't be too distracted. So with a startup, you got to go all in on that startup. But then when the time comes, you start to scale, you start regional managers, divisional managers. Then you got people. It's accountability, it's structure and delegation. That's all it is. So that's how I can do it. I batch my work too. So Laura will come in with a list every day. Here's your meetings. Here's what you got. And we're dialed in. A lot of people are afraid of accountability, by the way. A lot of entrepreneurs. There's a lot of entrepreneurs out there. You're afraid to hire a sales coach because you're afraid they're going to tell you what to do. And you're afraid because they're going to hold you accountable and you don't want to be held accountable. But hiring a business coach that can get into your financials, that can hold you accountable, best decision anybody can make, period.
Yeah. That accountability piece, that's key. It's really important in the structure. I hear you so clearly on the systems and the team. Like these are the things you got to put in place so that you can have a life, as the CEO, as the entrepreneur. I think that's the part of balance that most struggle with, especially in the beginning stages, in the early stages. Like you said, you're in the trenches in the early stages. You're still in the building. It is hard. It's the hardest part. But at the point where you can hire people better than you, I heard you say that, and that got to repeat that. Hire people better than you, right? Often people are afraid to do that because they're, I don't know, competitive or worried or, limited beliefs are trickling in there, preventing them from doing so. But if you hire people better than you, then you can take a step back and you can take a vacation or build another business or, find another hobby that, you're passionate about and grow that too. So that's a good lesson in there. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure.
And Adam, when someone listening or watching to this, they may just be in that place where they're feeling like it's time to grow, yet perhaps they don't have the funding to start building that team. How did you get across that hurdle? That first, when you start to build the team, not sure if it's the financially responsible thing to do yet.
Great question. So I have a phrase in the agency. It's called acquisition solves all problems. If you're having a good day, great, go sign a deal. If you're having a bad day, okay, go sign a deal. You're fighting with your spouse, okay, go sign a new deal. So that phrase, that acquisition solves all problems, that mindset. So when I'm looking to hire people, I got to look at what's the position, what's it going to cost, how do I fund it? Okay, it's X amount of dollars. How many more deals do I have to go sign to make this happen? So I will go increase my business to then bring that individual on, and I continue to repeat that. Where I'm at with Ascent Dealer Services is we got a good crew of salespeople. The next hire is I'm replacing myself. I'm replacing, so I know in my mind what it's going to cost. I'm not cheap, so I've got to go replace myself, and it's not going to be cheap. So right now I've got a couple more deals that I'm working that as soon as they're done and launched, I will have myself replaced. So that's how I do it. That's how I back into it. I back into it with the position. What's it going to cost? Where do I need them? How soon do I need them? Then I give myself a time frame on to sign the business so I can afford that, and I hit the deadline.
Wow, that is so smart. And I'm sure most people are not thinking that way, but it makes so much sense. They're just still trying to, get the profit up, get the profit up, get the profit up. But you're looking at like exact numbers. It's that you have a real strategic mind, yeah,
Well,
it's really impressive.
it's how do we make more money? We increase
Mm.
revenue, we cut cost, and eliminate taxation. So those are the only three areas to make income. So acquisition, like I said, solves all problems. So we have to, I think, especially in the beginning, we have to be psychotic. I sold my soul to my company for the first 3 years. I never stopped working. So I could build that pipeline up, build the pipeline, build the pipeline. As soon as that pipeline's full, it stays full typically. So the key is for young entrepreneurs, whatever your product and your service is, shout it from the freaking rooftop, especially on social media. You should be you are the brand yourself, get on social media, shout your product and service from the rooftop. That's the best thing anybody can do in today's market.
Yeah, you just mentioned there, fill the pipeline. Talk a little bit about what that means to somebody who might not be sure about that.
Well, like what I'm selling, I sell financial products and insurance products. So when I meet with a client, I'm not closing the sale today. The first meeting is let's get to know you. You like me, maybe I like you. If we like each other enough, maybe we have another meeting. Then that next
Mhm.
meeting is how long you been with your provider. Oh, no kidding. What do you love? What do you not love? Hey, let me ask you a question. If I could show you a better way that helps your client at a higher capacity and makes you more money, would you consider doing business with us in the future? Then you get that kind of a commitment. And then the next meeting you come back and present, and then you come back for another meeting to close. So sometimes it's a 12-month cycle. So in our industry, it's critical that we're constantly filling our pipeline because the sales cycle, right? The deal we talk to today might close 12 months from now. So we've got to continue to fill that pipeline so we have clients. So for somebody that's new, filling your pipeline is the most important thing you could possibly do is just get the leads going, get the conversations going. Use a CRM, my goodness. Track your clients, track your leads, send emails and text messages on birthdays and random follow-ups. Hey, I know we're not doing business today, but I want to let you know, I feel in my heart there's an opportunity in the future. And if you're good with that, I'm going to stay in touch, right? It's just people buy from people. So you just got to just fill it, flood the pipeline, just flood it, you know?
Relationship marketing. You're speaking our language.
Yes.
That's exactly what it is.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. Oh my goodness. You're like this is like a master class of how to do it. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. Talking our language, and we love talking about entrepreneurship and all things that help entrepreneurs out there to be more resilient as they're building, growing, scaling, whatever stage of business they are at. Because we know all of it is a challenge, and we need as much help and advice and mentorship and coaches like you that can come and help them understand maybe just their blind spots or their limiting beliefs, or maybe where the systems need to be sorted out a little bit better. So whatever angle they need to come at, this podcast hopefully will help somebody today. So thank you for that.
Okay. So that a couple key things is let's celebrate our plateau. Let's not beat ourselves up too much for the past. Let's not get sucked into a victim mindset. You are loved, you are worthy, you are special, you're good at something. Don't kid yourself. Find that something, get it into the market, have some fun with it, and off to the races, my friend.
So thank you again a million times. We really appreciate this conversation and your time today. And thanks for being on Resilient Entrepreneurs.